Hi, welcome to the Dream Factory, Living Your Dreams. My name is Nancy Cantor and I'm your hostess. And at our show, we interview women who are members of the Dream Factory community, which is a local organization. It's designed to support women in taking on their life, their work, and their world. We have chapters in Reading, in Medway, Framingham, Concord, Brattleboro, Vermont, and online. And our members, I feel, are very good examples of women who are living their dreams, but really also helping other people live their dreams. Today, I'm interviewing Karen Piedra. She's a local real estate agent, and she has a unique gift that she offers to her clients and other people. And when you're thinking about selling a home or buying a home, she actually clears the energetic space of that home so that you're not left with the energy of the people that lived in the house before. Pretty unique. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Hi, Nancy.
I'm so glad that you're here. And so the first question I'm going to ask you, given that this is the Dream Factory, Living Your Dreams, a little bit about your experience with the Dream Factory. How has it helped you live your dreams?
Well, it's helped support me. I joined a circle, and
what's the circle?
And the circle is sitting with a smaller group of women and discussing kind of your plans and your dreams as to how you want to move forward in your career or just in your life. And so each week, you or each month, you put out there what you want to what you want to accomplish, and so it makes you accountable for things, and it's a great support system. It also lets you get to know some people more intimately, and at a certain point at one of the meetings before I left, there were 4 people there that wanted some services from me, which was pretty amazing. I said, oh, gee, this is really, my goal was to have the energy healing and the real estate come together, and it was blossoming right there, and through the support of the Dream Factory.
That's awesome. So it sounds like there's something about when you really get to know people and you share what your, maybe even more personal dreams are, because sometimes you have the external things. I'm going to work on this, I'm going to work on that. But you get close to people and you share maybe your gifts, because you were a real estate agent prior to that, and you knew Reiki, and maybe there was something about your conversations in that circle that really helped you see how to put them both together.
It's true. It showed me how to put them together. It supported me, but also people were asking me about, aside from doing selling their homes, teaching them some Reiki, teaching them actually the process that I do and how to clear a home. So it manifested in a lot of different directions, not just the selling of a home, but also the learning of this process that I do as well.
Well, what do you say, we'll go into your history, how you got here, but say a little bit more about the Reiki. What can you tell people who are listening in what Reiki's about?
Reiki is universal energy. Reiki is channeling the energy through me and doing some healing. A lot of people that do massage maybe also do some, as they would say, energy healing, and a lot of that is Reiki. And so when I learned Reiki, and then I learned the energy healing of the home, I kind of adapted what I had already been doing. I've been doing Reiki for 22 years. So I adapted it to the energy healing that I learned about in healing homes.
So you had been doing Reiki, so this is a great segue into your background. So say a little bit about your background. How did you come into, to learn about Reiki and then move that into the real estate?
Okay, so they were kind of parallel lines. I started in real estate, let's say 20 odd years ago, and also around the same time learned Reiki, energy healing. So they were kind of going on a parallel path. And at a certain point, I think it was the mid-2000s, I decided I'd like to learn some Feng Shui, which is the placement of furniture and an awareness of energy for the selling of the homes that I list or the homes that I sell. And once I learned some Feng Shui and in order to help stage these homes, with that energy background of the Reiki, I realized I needed to really go deeper. And at that point, I set out on a course and I did learn how to do energy healing of the home. That's starting with the land, EMF rays. There's a lot of different...
What are EMF rays?
Electromagnetic rays.
Okay.
And there's a lot of, there's also something called geopathic stresses. Those are energy lines that go under your home, and that energy radiates up. A geopathic stress is the thought forms of mankind.
Okay.
All right, and the land under your home and the air around your home has an energy grid.
Okay.
And so that also needs to be cleared. What this process does is it keeps the positive and removes the negative. So that's on the outside of the house. Now, the original roots of Feng Shui happen to be concentrated on the land. Before Feng Shui got to be any kind of decorating or organizing of furniture, the roots of that were all about the energy. So this is how it kind of came together. And I also learned about how to clear the energy with Reiki in the walls of your home. You move into your home, somebody probably has lived there before and they've had good and bad things happen to them. Mm-hmm. And even the best of families. But the thing is, you don't want to be affected by that.
Right.
And that's what happens when you move into a new house. You are affected by the energy of the people and of the situations that have happened to them before.
Can you actually feel that? When you do your house clearings, your home clearings, what's the experience for you?
My experience is the intensity when I find out if I need to clear that wall energy, which is usually, it's always a yes. It's how intense it feels to me is to how intense it actually is. Now, this may be an unusual concept, but most of the homes that I do the clearings on, I do distantly. I'm not in the house at the time.
And how does that work?
Well, it works when you're dealing with energy. It is only a thought that makes that helps make that change. For instance, when you're in temple or church or wherever, and you send prayers, healing prayers for somebody that's sick, those prayers really do something. They reach that person and the universe and hopefully help make them better. The Reiki works in the same way. Since I've been doing Reiki for not just a long time, but at a very high level, I also teach a few different kinds of Reiki. Once you get out of the initial hands-on, which is the first level Reiki, when you get to a higher level, which is the second degree Reiki or further, all that is distant. So through that process, I can send healing to the homes.
That's so interesting. Well, it makes sense to me that if somebody's living in a home and, there are negative things, maybe they were a couple that fought or, there was a sad thing that happened. Some people get killed or some people commit suicide or, there could be some dramatic things that happen in a household.
Definitely.
So there's that, there's the energy of that still stays around the house. It sounds like also to the land that there's something about the general thought forms that are on the earth get into the land that's around the house.
Exactly. And to start a clearing, what I also do is I do get permission from the ancestors of that land. Because in our area there could have been native people. There's always some energy to the land, some ancestry to the land, and also there's an energy of the home. So when I start, I do get permission obviously first from the homeowner or from the realtor, but then my second step is to get further permission.
From the ancestors of the land.
From the ancestors of the land, exactly. You know, as an example of something that I bet we all see and don't know what it means at all, a lot of times, let's say it's a restaurant or a shop, you may drive up and down, let's say in this Metro West area, Route 9, and notice there's always a restaurant. It's in, it's out. There's a new name there. They're closed down again. There's another new name there. That is an energy problem. That's something that that needs healing. There's a reason why those businesses go in and out in those areas. There's an energetic problem.
That is so interesting. Well, and I know you have another example of a home that you actually lived in. Or was it somebody that you knew? Was it somebody you knew or your home?
No, it was my home.
Oh, your home, okay.
There was a home I lived in, say about 28 years ago. And the home that I was moving into, they were having a very, very nasty divorce and put their house up for sale, and my husband and I purchased the home. Well, shortly after that, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, didn't I have a divorce? It wasn't nasty, but I also had a divorce. Now, being in real estate, I can kind of track what's happening with homes. So another family moved in. Now, more recently, I noticed that home come back on the market and inquired with the broker who's listing it. I just let her know that maybe it could use some energy healing, that I didn't do that 28 years ago, but I do that now if I could assist in the situation. She thought it did need clearing, and then she also informed me that the people who live in the house were getting a divorce. So, sad confirmation, but the energy needs to be cleared there, and I cannot unilaterally, even though I know that, interfere in anybody's lives and just say, I'd like to heal that home. They need to they need to know what I do and decide they want to hire me to do that.
Right. Right. Well, it sounds like there's patterns in families. You know how families might have similar issues.
Right. It doesn't have to be as drastic as divorce or anything. I also do, aside from the real estate piece, I am hired a lot to heal families and their homes. And, maybe the teenagers are, they can't, it's not always as simple as can't focus on school. I helped a family who the son had he was in line to be a professional baseball player. And then he had that Tommy John surgery, and that's a surgery, I guess, that affected his arm here. And so when he had that time off, he got really unfocused. The first time in his life, he wasn't 100% focused on baseball, and he discovered there's a whole other world out there. So when it came back time to focus on getting into college and the baseball, he didn't know what he wanted to do. And the family was in a panic, so they called me. And what I did is I sent healing to the situation. I sent healing to him. You can't make anybody do what they don't want to do.
Sure.
But sending that healing makes them think really clearly about what do they truly, truly want in their heart. And he accepted that scholarship to school for baseball because he knew that's what he loved. And this just, sending that healing helped him come to know again that's what he loved. Now, the whole family was pretty upset about this, so I did some healing for the entire family. And then also at the very end, I did the house. Because all that disruption and all that, just the disruption of what happened, the energy of the house probably needed to be cleared beforehand. So that's what I do. I work on the family, and then the last step is I get to the house. Now this takes 2 weeks to do, a couple of weeks. First I'll work on the family, let that have a little time to continue to heal. Then if there's particular difficult situations, I'll work on them. And then 5 to 7 days later, I'll heal the house. And the reason for doing the house is if they sit in those certain areas where they ponder or they would be upset or argue over things, that energy is still there. So even though now they're feeling calm, they get back into the house, they sit back at that dining room table where they always had those heated discussions, and that actually revs them up again. So that energy really needs to be cleared out so they can now feel at rest and at peace.
Nice. Nice.
So that's just one example of
No, but I think that's a
how
great
it works.
example of, really thinking about the energy of your home. There's so many things you can think about, how you want it decorated and, location, but that you're dealing with something that's very fundamental and important for the experience of what it's like to live there.
Right, and since it's unseen, people don't always put it together that that they're being affected by those things. Some of these energy lines also, if they happen to be going under your bed and they're at a high level, what can happen is, we also have a predisposition for maybe certain, I don't want to say illnesses, but just certain things that if our bodies are agitated, could arise. Now, so it's good to, when I do the clearing of the house, those energy levels are brought down to a very safe level so that these different health situations may never have to occur.
Nice.
And also you may sleep better too.
And so when you look at the energy of a home, do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you hear it? How does it occur for you?
Well, I do. If somebody calls me up and says, I'm having these issues, what I do is I do actually a meditation. I'm not on the phone with them. They tell me what's going on, and then I get guidance as to what needs to be done for them. I get the whole layout. I get they tell me the names of the people, the family members, the children, even the pets, and what's going on, and then through this meditation, it all gets figured out. Who needs Reiki? Who needs some healing between the communication between the different people in the family, or it could even be in your office. And then what I need to do to the house. So it's all laid out. Then I call the person back, and I can just spell it all out for them.
That's great. And it would sound like the people that call you believe this, like they really believe that you can help them do this.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
This is not everybody would believe this. Not everybody would say.
That is true. It's a different concept than you think, than your normal everyday thinking. Mm-hmm. But I have a few people, for instance, a realtor in Connecticut, who happens to own this firm. She has me heal certain homes that she lists, and then when there's more complicated situation, she'll just give my name to these individuals, and I'll do that same kind of a layout and help them individually.
Oh, that's awesome. And you do this for your clients. So do your clients find you specifically because they know you do this for them? Because I know you include that in the service.
Yes, when I list a home, if they're open to it, and I'd say 99% of the people are open to it, almost 100%. It's as a courtesy to them, and having hired me, I do the energy healing of their home. I don't get into, because it's business, not meaning business, I'm there for their home. I don't get into their personal life, but I do address healing their home. So when a new person comes in, They don't feel, nothing else is influencing them. You know, when you go into a home, sometimes a friend's home, you go, oh, it feels good. Oh, it doesn't feel good. It's that underlying stuff.
Yeah. So it sounds like you do it for the people, like if somebody is selling their home, you clear the energy of the home.
Yes.
So when new people come to see it, I mean, can you speak to any specific results that have happened out of that?
Yes, well, I mean, my homes always get cleared right away, obviously. In the case of other brokers, a lot of times they'll call me, not when they first list it, but when they're now having a problem, because the home's been on the market for a while, and they usually sell shortly afterwards. Now, the price has to be right too. I mean, doing the clearing is good, but if your house is way overpriced, it's still not going to cure that.
Right.
But
it's not a cure for overpriced houses.
It isn't, but it is a cure for the energetic part of it.
That's great. So people have noticed a difference when you do the clearing.
Yes, and sometimes I have a few brokers in Sherburne, for instance. I'll talk to her 6 months later. Oh, that house sold right away afterwards. But unless somebody told me that, I didn't really know.
Right. So you don't necessarily have. I mean, you don't necessarily keep records like, oh, I did the clearing and this is when it sold. That might be an interesting thing to do, is to kind of get a sense of, for the homes that you cleared, when do they sell? Like, is there a real,
that would be interesting.
Yeah, like a quantitative assessment of how that works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it sounds like you have really great examples in your mind, because but that would kind of be a fun thing. Not that you have to work on, I mean, it's a little bit, I think either people believe this way or they don't believe this way.
True.
And I think some people get influenced, and one way to influence people is to give them, some people are very fact oriented. So if you could give some tangible facts, that might be helpful.
That's true, but a lot of, if somebody's going to hire me, they have that trust in me. Mm-hmm. So they're not all people that understand every bit of this. But they'll look at me and say, it's going to get my house sold. You can do what you want. But
they're not going to stop you.
Correct.
So any other stories that you have of, experiences that people have had with this, or experiences you've had with this?
Well, in one particular case, this is actually about healing a piece of land, actually a street. This is a particular street where there were a lot of deaths, car accidents, and a lot of deaths on this particular street. And a friend of mine lives on the street, and she told me about it. I said, I could do something about that, because they were like happening right near her house. So I did some healing of that area, and that was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago. There have been no accidents since then. There was one almost kind of an accident, and I did a little bit more healing, and since then there have been no accidents. And that stands true if any of you know a certain corner or a certain light or a certain area near where you live that there's a lot of accidents. Those areas, there's an energetic problem and could benefit from having those areas cleared.
That's great. And so you said after you did the clearing of that street, there weren't any more serious accidents.
No.
Isn't that great? So that's even a little different than selling your house. That's like saving people's lives.
Right. It's a different thing. I've been requested before to heal a community.
How do you heal a community?
I had a group of us, but I could also do it by myself as well. But I was asked because there was a particular issue. I think it's an issue all over the place of suicide.
Okay.
And so she wanted to be able to talk to the school system and about this issue, and really wasn't getting that much cooperation. So we got together and I did some healing of the town. And a similar way to that I do a home, but it's much larger.
Yeah, that's a lot of healing and clearing to do.
That is, and in a town you could go over and over again too. But it shifted it enough that she was able to do a presentation and move forward with what she needed to do to get things started and have the community be more accepting of her or of her cause and open-minded to listen to her.
And her cause was teen
suicide.
Teen suicide. So a very important cause that you'd want a community to be open to, that here are some solutions and some ways we can support our youth.
Exactly. So it goes further than just, just the homes.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's a way of impacting a lot of different situations that maybe you wouldn't think is an energetic problem, but you can see it's a problem.
They're all usually energetic problems.
Yeah, I would imagine from your perspective, to do the work that you do, you would always see the energetic problems in most situations.
Right, because they're like, you could say there's underlying influences in why a certain spot you have car accidents.
Mm-hmm.
Or the thought form of the community on certain issues. Let's say there's some upheaval going on in a high school, for instance. You can easily just do a clearing on the high school.
Okay.
And I've never had anybody take documentation to see if things change, but I know that they do.
Yeah, I guess I'm just suggesting that maybe that would be useful to do some documentation, to think what that might look like, just for your book, when you write your book, that might be a fun thing not fun thing, I'm not trying to be frivolous about it, but
no, it would be a good thing to do.
I think so, because I think if some people are going to believe this way anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and some people might need a little convincing, so it'd be good to have some facts and figures that could convince some people.
Right. Well, maybe somebody out there has a school that they want me to address that could bring me back some documentation after doing some healing.
Yeah.
Are there less drug issues? Are there less kids skipping school? But
Yes.
it would have to be somebody in that realm who is open-minded to what I have to offer.
That's great. But I think that's a great way, have
Mm-hmm.
other people measure it and say, what are the things, what were the results afterwards? I think that would be a great way to handle it.
Right, and I do some, like I said, some community things.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're open to opportunities or invitations for people who see that maybe within their community or within certain institutions there might be stuck energy. Businesses could have stuck energy.
Oh,
there's lots
definitely.
of places. Families could have stuck energy. So there's a lot of ways to apply what you do.
True. Now, what happens though is, because I've been called into quite a few businesses, when you do healing of a business, this is all for the highest good. I don't make the judgment what is the highest good. I send the energy for the highest good. So in a business, if there's a troublemaker or somebody revving everybody up, and for the highest good it means that they leave, sometimes they do. But that is what needed to be done to simmer down the situation.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I want to thank you for being here today and sharing your expertise with us. I'm speaking with Karen Piedra. She is a realtor. She also does Reiki, and she really has an amazing gift for clearing the energy in homes so you don't have to. You're listening to the Dream Factory community. We interview people who are living their dreams and helping other people live theirs. Thank you for tuning in today. There's information at the end of the show about Karen Piedra and her practice, and you can get in touch with her. Also, if you're interested in the Dream Factory and joining a community of like-minded women who are taking on their life, their work, and their world, please follow up with us, and there's information at the end of the show. So thanks again for tuning in, and may you live your dreams.